A major victory for convicted murderers Lyle and Erik Menendez. As many of you know, the brothers murdered their parents way back in the 90s, but wait, rewind, brain fart. The murders actually happened in 1989, but their trials happened in the 90s. Okay, back to our regularly scheduled programming. But they have claimed that they were the victim of sexual abuse at the hands of their father, and they have new evidence that proves that. Evidence that was never entered into the original trial. Multiple pieces of evidence. And after much pressure from celebrities like Kim Kardashian and Rosie O'Donnell, the Los Angeles County District Attorney Jorge Gascon has finally agreed to a new hearing for Erik and Lyle. And if you all think that Gypsy Rose Blanchard's life after being released from prison is a circus, can you imagine if these two were released? They would be everywhere, making mucho dinero. The new evidence is being reviewed, and the hearing for the Menendez brothers is set for November 29th. And it's just a hearing. However, that hearing could lead to either a new trial or a resentencing. So, what is this new evidence that proves that their father molested them for years? Well, there are two big pieces of information that were not included in their original trial way back in the 90s. As some of you might remember, last year, Roy Rosello, a former member of Menudo, bravely opened up and named the Menendez brothers' father as the person who raped him when he was a boy. He made this confession in a documentary that aired on Peacock called Menendez and Menudo, Boys Betrayed. And Roy Rosello said, when talking about their father, that's the man that raped me. That's the pedophile. It's time for the world to know the truth. And that's not the only piece of evidence against Jose Menendez. Additionally, the brothers claim that months prior to them ending the lives of their father and mother, they wrote a letter to one of their cousins. Andy Cano is the name of their cousin. The brothers claim that this letter was not shown during the initial trial, but in it, Erik allegedly told his cousin that he wished he could tell his mother about the abuse they had been suffering at the hands of their father, but Erik feared that his mother would tell his father. When news of this new hearing was made public, Rosie O'Donnell took to social media to say, "About time, this is wonderful news." And Kim Kardashian actually had a lot more to say. As some of you might know, Kim has been a big advocate for prison reform, and she wrote the following about the Menendez brothers. Quote, "We are all products of our experiences. They shape who we were, who we are, and who we will be. Physiologically and psychologically, time changes us, and I doubt anyone would claim to be the same person they were at 18. I know I'm not. You think you know the story of Lyle and Erik Menendez. I certainly thought I did. In 1989, the brothers, aged 21 and 18 respectively, viciously shot and killed their parents in their Beverly Hills home. In 1996, after two trials, they were first tried separately, and they were mistrials, then they were tried together and convicted. In 1996, after two trials, they were sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. As is often the case, this story is much more complex than it appears on the surface. Both brothers said they had been sexually, physically, and emotionally abused for years by their parents. Oh, wow, I had forgotten that they alleged that the mother was awful too. According to Lyle, the abuse started when he was just 6 years old. And Erik said he was raped by his father for more than a decade. Following years of abuse and a real fear for their lives, Erik and Lyle chose what they thought at the time was their only way out, an unimaginable way to escape their living nightmare. Pause. She reminded us of their age at the time, 18 and 21. They could have just left home. They could have just gone to the police, just like Gypsy Rose Blanchard. Schmurdering of a parent, that wasn't the first go-to that I would imagine, Kim also reveals, quote, "I have spent time with Lyle and Erik. They are not monsters. They are kind, intelligent, and honest men. In prison, they both have exemplary disciplinary records. They have earned multiple college degrees, worked as caregivers for elderly incarcerated individuals in hospice, and been mentors in college programs, committed to giving back to others. When I visited the prison 3 weeks ago, one of the wardens told me he would feel comfortable having them as neighbors. 24 family members, including their parents' siblings, have released statements fully supporting Lyle and Erik and have respectfully requested that the justice system free them. With their case back in the spotlight," pause, Ryan Murphy has a new show about them, "and considering the revelation of a 1988 letter from Erik to his cousin describing the abuse, my hope is that Erik and Lyle Menendez's life sentence are reconsidered." But she does have a point about that kind of abuse. It just warps your brain. It's unconscionable. It's just unimaginable. We owe it to those little boys who lost their childhoods, who never had a chance to be heard, helped, or saved. Well said, Kim. Listen, they've been locked up for decades now, and I think at least a reconsidering, yeah, for sure. Maybe even a release. I'm not sure. Let me sit on this and think about it, and I want to know what you think. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.